right, you're live.
Woohoo! Are you going to say welcome, or am I saying welcome?
No, you are. You are.
I mean, I can introduce the show, but I'd just be winging it at that point.
You're so funny. I think he does too. So, hello everyone. Welcome. Another edition of Tech Talk with T and E, and our amazing, wonderful guests. So far, we've got Adam. Yay! I wanted to invite everyone to like, subscribe, share, and follow. Like, subscribe, share, and follow if you want to see more of all of the fun stuff that we're doing, or just listen to our crazy banter. So I believe we're supposed to have a few more people pop in. Not quite sure when they are going to show, but we will definitely get started. Adam, can you introduce yourself and tell us how great and wonderful you are in your little neck of the woods?
Yeah, I'll do my best. So I'm Adam Chronister. I run a digital marketing agency based in Spokane, Washington. Been doing it some form or fashion ever since 2009. We help clients across the board, from SMBs all the way up to enterprise. I say our niche is not the clients, but it's data, right? Data-driven SEO and search advertising. So
I love that. Data-driven is very important. We hear about people out there in the industry that are just winging it, and that's not necessarily what Terry and I subscribe to, because we like to make structured and measured steps with accurate information. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think we call that SEO in the industry.
Yes, yeah, or Facebook SEO.
Yeah, right. Everybody's an SEO expert.
Exactly.
I tell clients or prospects rather, I think the challenge that we run into with a lot of web design companies is, they get done designing and developing a website, and then the next obvious question that clients is going to ask is, "Hey, do you do digital marketing, or do you do SEO?" And a lot of well-meaning, even talented web design companies have no business doing digital marketing, but because they don't want to turn away a dollar, they just say, "Yeah, we do SEO." And so we see a lot of that, right? We just brought on a client, 12 months with another SEO company, and we're like, "Hey, can we get your Google Analytics?" And he's like, "What?" So he goes back and asks the other party. Well, they never installed it. I'm like, so basically you just spent like a year of salary for nothing, right?
Yep. I see most of it on Google Search Console. It's crazy. All the audits I get sent.
Yeah.
From agencies to do audits on websites. And I always ask, I said, I need access to Google Search Console. And what is that? And I'm like, it's your freaking Bible.
Right.
I don't even care that much about analytics, because I know analytics is, not that accurate anyways, but
right. And there's
Search Console will tell you almost everything you need to know that Google doesn't like about your website. So
yeah. It's
good morning, Dan. How are you, sir? Up, you're muted.
Yep, I'm doing good, guys. How's it going?
Good.
Right on.
We just started chatting right away, Adam introduced himself and stuff. So why don't you introduce us to who you are in your neck of the woods?
Sure. I'm Dan Kurtz. I've been doing online marketing since 2006. Various forms, various whatever you want to call it. Big focus on the data side of things and the automation of processes and other things inside of businesses to help them kind of grow, scale, automate, and replace human capital with automation so they can do more things and have less stressed employees. Also playing the SEO space, obviously, but
yeah, Dan's a freaking magician when it comes to automation. So it's super excited. He's actually going to have a breakout room this year, so people can get a little bit more intimate with Dan and ask him a little bit, more questions and stuff. He for the last 2 years, he's done the tech mastermind portion of it, and it just kind of freaks everybody out. So this time we're like, okay, let's put you in the forefront.
Yeah, that should be fun. So I'll be speaking on essentially teaching people how to build a business development or business sales rep from scratch using AI automation and a table.
Right on.
Nice.
So,
Awesome.
yeah, so everything you'd ever want to know about your prospect, all the stuff that you normally do if you're doing prospecting, cold outreach, all of that, even down to creating the media portion of it. So sending somebody a YouTube video or an audio file, completely done in one shot inside of an automation table.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Woohoo! All right,
Yeah,
so the price just went up for SEOs. What are you doing over in the world of AI? I saw you speak, Adam, at Traffic and Conversions back when AI was first kind of even getting kind of started. It hadn't even really taken off yet. I mean, people are always playing with it and stuff, but you're doing a lot of stuff with AI over on your side of the fence.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the core things that we're evangelizing our clients to be doing, we've of course started implementing, run kind of the forefront on that. So, a lot of it's just systemization, kind of like to what Dan's talking about. Like, we have a pretty in-depth enterprise level SEO audit, right? And it pulls from a lot of the same things you would imagine. So, Screaming Frog is a heavy portion of it, but Google Analytics, Google Search Console. As an example, we took that process where we take all that data, put it into a really nice presentation package with a Google slide deck, right? And, that's probably a 4-hour plus process.
Mm-hmm.
And we've automated, with Make and some other systems, that whole process down to minutes, right? And so now we can take, multi-$1,000 level audit, and we have a lot of options that we can utilize with that, right? So we can either drop the price way down, use it as a lead magnet, continue to charge incoming clients that work, but then spend a lot more time on the execution of explanation and all of those things. So that's one example, but I mean, you name a system or process it, and we probably have some AI integration, right? So we do a lot of like case studies, competitive analysis, what else? Things like that. If at minimum we're putting them into custom GBTs, and also trying to start to work on some outbound outreach. And so definitely interested in what Dan's working on in that realm. It seems like that's where a lot of the industry is going as far as like lead gen and whatnot. So.
Yeah, I agree too. Have you automated your Looker Studio reporting?
I mean, Looker Studio is kind of automated already. Not the build out. The build out's pretty easy. It's basically cut and paste. But Looker Studio is basically automated in that once it's built, I mean, once you have the connectors, there's nothing else you need to do with it, right?
Yeah.
There's already auto scheduling. We don't do that. We still send it out, but if we wanted to, we could literally have it scheduled out. So that system's kind of already automated in and of itself enough that there's not much more we could do. We do a narrative report, which is kind of more of a manually written report, which sits on top of our data studio report. It's kind of like, let's break it down for the layman. And that's next in our bucket to automate, just because it's fairly time consuming. And so yeah, slowly but surely we're looking at anything that's redundant, automate, right? And that's the goal, I think, with all this AI stuff. It's like you shouldn't be.
That's the biggest thing, with we've been using Looker Studio for years too, and but it still takes us 45 minutes to build out a new report for the client.
Really? Okay.
On, and so that's the thing, and even though you change the Search Console and analytics and everything, you still have to go in and check every single little data box to make sure that it did switch.
Well,
we use a template.
You shouldn't have to do that. We might have to chat offline, because you can templatize those things now. So we have templates, and basically we can the only work that we have to do with Looker Studio is actually creating the data connectors, which takes maybe 10 minutes tops. And that's like if for somebody who's just kind of learning it. For me, I could do it, in probably 5 minutes.
Now are you bringing in any other data except for the Google data?
SEM Rush, and then we use there's another third-party tool for local. Everything else is native to Google properties.
Okay.
So yeah, depending on what you're pulling, maybe it could take more time. Like if you're pulling data from a manual sheet or whatnot. But really, for for us is templatized. So we create all the connectors first,
Mhm.
and then we literally copy and paste our template, which is our master template. And then you just go and select the connectors. So yeah, it sounds like there may be some steps in the process that you guys could optimize.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, I was planning on talking to you about that offline too, because I know there is. I mean, we're pulling in call tracking from What Converts. We're pulling in GBP insights and rankings from, tools. And it's just, like I said, there's, probably 7 or 8 connectors.
Yeah.
But then we have 4 or 5 pages of queries. I like to show clients the query data to add them at from Search Console.
Yep. We did
that type of stuff. So
yeah, and I mean, I have our guys doing it, so like maybe it's slightly more efficient for me because I've been doing it so long that I can just knock it out. But even our team, like I have it to the point now where I just have a SOP with all of our connectors. So rarely do I get in there unless it's like a super custom thing. But yeah, we basically standardize everything into a master, which is kind of like anything and everything you could think of, and then we pare it down per client. So if a client
that's what we do too. Yeah. I mean, it was like 37 pages of reports, and I was like, okay, no, you just need 4.
Yeah, and you can hide all that stuff so that you keep the master template. So we have clients a lot of times they start with SEO, and then they want to add like PPC on later. Like we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just unclick and connect their AdWords and all that stuff. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. So very cool. Elisabeth, what do you got going on?
What do I have going on?
With the conference, like everything for the conference.
Herding cats.
I'm just gonna take it easy and coast for a couple of weeks. It'll be fine. I am doing all the things. Definitely gearing up, doing a lot of the behind the scenes for spring training. I'm, pushing all my little speakers here to give me all of the deets so that we can make sure that the presentations are applicable to our audience and that we have all the information so that I can convey that to the audience as well. Getting the schedule lined up, which I know is kind of your deal. But I've got the VIP set up. I've got a couple little things to add on to that. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. We've got some masterminds at the hotel, and then we're going to go play. I found a place that will do, it's like an indoor sports arena, and it's falling in line with AI. It's like all one of those, like the automated, the simulators, the baseball, basketball, soccer, all of the things. It's like a whole entire sports arena all inside. I'm going to have lunch catered in and some adult bevies for all of the adults that are showing up, and a lot of fun with that. Just really looking forward to everybody getting together. Like, I know that it's kind of cliche and I say it, but like I have like the greatest friends in SEO. They just don't live in my hometown. They just live all over the world. And I look forward to you guys all coming in and geeking out like everybody else over all the techie stuff. So
yeah, it's going to be fun. Oh, you're on the swag kick now too, right?
I am. I've got a couple of things. Like, I don't have a ton of swag, but I do have a couple of sponsors that are going to bring some stuff. So I'm definitely open if anyone else is looking to sponsor and they want to sneak something into my swag bag. I will say that, the best thing everybody loves is the Yeti. Definitely have another one coming up this year for the speakers and the VIP. So it's highly coveted. I hear over and over how much everyone loves the Yeti. But
nice.
I mean, you guys found it in my car, so Terry and Elisabeth were here a couple of weeks ago, and so we decided to go hit up some of the theme parks and stuff. But so I picked him up instead of them getting an Uber, and it was sitting in the back seat in one of the cup holders. And Terry's like, "Oh, look at that!"
Yeah, spring training everywhere. That's cool.
Yeah, you gotta collect the swag. I got a whole backpack of keychains and it's fun. They're kind of like my tokens for conferences.
Your token. I collect the name badges. Like
Me too.
swag
Yeah,
is
I got a whole wall.
I got a bunch in the back behind me. I collect.
Yeah, I really want to make sure that if I'm giving out swag, it's not just like generic stuff. I want it to be practical. That's just me. I'm a practical kind of girl anyway. So I want something that people are going to use and keep around. You find the junk drawers that have all the random pins and, weird little magnets and clips and stuff like that. And it's fun, but I'm a practical girl. So
I think the strangest swag I ever got, it was kind of the coolest, maybe coolest, but definitely out of the box, was at, I think it was SEO Mastery Summit, where they had like laser carved coconuts in Vietnam.
Oh, right.
I was like somebody Mads went way out on that one. I was like, okay, that's definitely sticks in your head swag. So
it's stuck in your head. You remembered it, right?
Yeah. I think I don't think I packed it. I packed super light. So I think I ended up drinking the juice and kind of leaving it. But like now I'm like, man, I kind of wish I would have found space in my bag for that thing. So
yeah, his event just ended. So
yeah. I was definitely getting FOMO. I was trying to like not be on Facebook like during that whole thing. So
yeah, he'll be at spring training this year. Matt and I try to separate our conferences enough to where we don't overlap too close. Last year we were a little bit too close, so I moved mine.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they're different sides of the world too. So like there'll be some crossover. But that's the one thing I noticed. Like it was interesting. Like, the year before last, I was doing a lot of international conferences, and like I started to really kind of get this vibe, and every, for the most part, everyone kind of gets along and knows each other. But it was like I definitely got more of there's kind of like the US like vibe, and then there's the Asian vibe, and then they sometimes coalesce with different conferences like yours, for instance, right? Where we see the Craig Campbells and the Mads like jump on a plane and hang out. So
yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I don't know if I can handle 15, 18-hour flight.
It's rough. It's rough. I'm actually, my wife and I are going to be heading to Japan here in April, and while I'm looking forward to it, I'm like, oh, that flight's going to be the worst.
Yeah.
I'm almost to the point where I'm just like, unless I can stay there for a month, like I don't want to even bother.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's hard going there for, even a week and turning around and flying back.
Yeah, you get over the jet lag just by the time you're ready to go home. So then you got to do it all over again. So it's not for the faint of heart. So that's
I don't know how Terry will do it. He gets grumpy on domestic flights.
Oh yeah. I mean, when we went to Hawaii, like 3 months ago or something like that, we weren't paying attention, and we got a flight that left like 11:30 at night, and it got us here in Phoenix like at 7 a.m. And
oh man,
that was like never going to happen again. Freaking list right there. So. I can't do red eyes anymore. It was different when I was in my 20s and 30s.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. But good deal.
Okay, I have a question. So, and I know that our demographic is people that are in the thick of it with SEO and with AI and with automations and all the things. What is it like for somebody just starting with so much being thrown at us and so much tech? How do you sift through and know what's right? And how do you jump in? Because we already feel like we're behind. Everything is just moving at such a rapid speed. There's so much out there. What is your recommendations, both you guys, for how to jump in, how to understand, and how to not just be completely overwhelmed?
Sure. So the way that I look at it is kind of the same way that Google initially came up with the search engine. You guys have heard me say this before at different conferences, but Google's purpose of having a search engine is to terminate that search. And it's the same thing with AI or automation. If you have a problem or a bottleneck in your business, focus on crushing that, killing whatever that bottleneck is, and then moving forward from there. It doesn't have to be the best solution. You can always come back to it later, but get that thing off your plate, whatever it is. Automate it, scale it, AI it, whatever it is that's bottlenecking your process or something in your business. Figure out how to, we have tech, we have AI. Claude just finally came online that it can now read documentation for API hooks and stuff. So if you wanted to build something in Make or any of these other services, you could ask it questions, feed it the documentation, and get back the response and the workflow that you need. And even Make itself has automations inside of it now where you can type in, hey, I need you to build me an automation for this, and be very specific with what you ask, and it will go ahead and map it out, at least initially.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite features of Make. That's one of the things we dropped Zapier a long time ago. Just because
For me, it's definitely the mission critical stuff first, and then anything else that's like, we need to have this done, but we don't want to spend the time doing it. And then everything else that you build on top of that is just kind of a nice to have once you get it done, is the way I look at it. It's like mission critical stuff first, get it done, get it out of the way, make sure it works, and then just move on to the next. The more stuff you can take off your plate with automation and AI, I think the faster and the better it's going to be for anybody going forward, not just agencies, not just SEOs, but business in general. The more of those things you can take off your plate, the better. Like with me doing my talk, it's literally going and scraping a list of local businesses or whatever you want to work with, and then having you just dump it in a sheet, go make a coffee, and by the time the pot's done brewing, you come back and you've got 12,000 prospects with the videos already created to send to them. The talking avatar videos of you already ready to send to them in a cold email campaign. All you have to do is just queue it up.
Awesome.
Yeah. Good stuff.
What's your take, Adam? What do you recommend to people that are trying to jump in and don't know where to look or turn?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the perspective I try to give myself and others is like reminding myself, as well as those clients that we work with, that like, hey, it's still early, right? Like it's easy to feel like you're behind, right? I feel like I'm behind, and like I talk about this every single day, right? So, as far as like not getting overwhelmed, like to Dan's point, like just take one process at a time, right? And that makes you feel like you're getting accomplished. Just do one thing at a time. And then number two, like I think trying not to get so overwhelmed by all of the bells and whistles, just find a couple different platforms, right? And I've seen the same thing like in like traditional SEO, where it's like, everybody's got like 20 tools. Like they got the Screaming Frog and the SEMrush and the Ahrefs and this and that. And it's like, we decided a while ago, like, we cut ourselves down to just a few tools, right? Because it was just too much, right? It's like, hey, a lot of these tools do a lot of the same things. So let's just get really good at this one. Not only are we saving money on subscription fees, but like we're becoming more disciplined. And I think it's the same with AI. Like the reality is large language models right now are essentially becoming commodities, and it's just the wrappers, right? But you can put the wrappers into different kind of buckets, right? You have your video editing wrappers, you have your content-based wrappers. And so just focus on one thing, one discipline, maybe one particular tool set, and try to get decent at that before you jump to the latest thing. Because you could spend full time just playing with new tools and never actually get anywhere. Right? That's what we're trying to avoid right now. I just got done listening about a month and a half ago to somebody who works at Microsoft. His entire job is to evaluate AI tools, 40 hours a week plus. And he says, I can't even keep up. And this is all I do. Like I get paid just to like play with AI tools. So don't expect that you're going to be able to keep up with somebody whose full-time job is just to play with new AI tools. It's impossible.
Yeah. And I agree too. I mean, I even take it a step backwards. If I was going to start over today, it's probably even one of my, I don't really have any regrets, but it's probably one of the things that I would say I regret is not learning ads, paid ads. And mastering paid ads. I'm not saying just learning, but I think SEO is the evolution. That's good. We're going through it. We are always going through an evolution of that, but ads is one of the things that obviously is the biggest money maker Google has, and I don't think it's going to turn away too much. But and in today's environment, if I was going to start an agency or start in this business, I would say, okay, yeah, let's go master ads first, and then go into SEO, because SEO is, I'll always believe, it's the most important, but it's also the turtle and all the stuff that we explain to clients. It's the slowest of everything, and ads in a twofold process of doing ads and organic, you can really freaking dominate. But and then on the second side of when came to AI, I made the decision at the very beginning to just learn one and just make it my bitch, which was ChatGPT. And so I didn't get into Claude. I mean, I played with them, but I just said, you know what, unless I'm building software or something, I'm going to master one freaking variable. And we still do that today. So,
and all the principles are the same, right? Like
exactly.
Prompt engineering is the same. The only difference is honestly the outputs, right? And that's where learning, like, you can take the same prompt, and I encourage everyone to do this. Like, I did this with a cold outreach email template the other day. I put it into, Grok, Claude, ChatGPT, and DeepSeek, just because I was like, I want to see what the output differences are, right? And that was just one model, right? I could do the same thing with video or whatever it is, but that really helped me kind of understand like the differentiations between the platforms and all of that stuff, right? But like to your point, the input is essentially the same, right?
Yeah.
And so prompt engineering is I think one of those things that at least speaking to the standard business owners is probably a good discipline to at least have a cursory understanding of what it is and how to utilize it in your business.
Yeah.
Now, are either one of you guys helping clients start utilizing AI in their business?
Oh yeah, we're in the process right now of building a tool specifically for that. So they would be able to log in, pay for a membership, and then any of their content production could be done in one tool. So full multi-purpose.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on some voice AI systems right now for inbound to kind of attach to our packages, right? So, AI assisted inbound call systems that we're grouping in, right? I think it's challenging right now, depending on your clientele. Like for the SMBs, like I think there's a lot of interest and need, like for AI, but it's kind of like back in the early days of SEO. Like, hey, I want SEO. Well, why do you want it? I don't know. Like, what do you want us to do? I don't know. So there's more interest than there is knowledge as to like how do you want this to actually help your business, right? There's a big difference between having an inbound AI call assistant for an enterprise level business than there is for an SMB who maybe doesn't get more than one lead a week, right? So I think some of those conversations still have to be played out, but I think some of the things I'm most interested in is figuring out how to utilize like aggregated data. Like for instance, we were talking about Looker Studio, taking data like that and starting to utilize AI to process and analyze it for more strategic decision operations, right? So that's another thing on our radar.
Yeah, definitely. I'm seeing the same thing with a lot of businesses that I work with. One of the ones we're working with right now, we're taking AI. We've got a custom LLM that we're helping them to build and train in-house, but we're using that for RPA, which is going to be the next step after all this AI stuff, which is robotic process automation.
Right.
So being able to have something like, for example, this client's in the food industry, specifically dealing with produce. So looking at the temperature of the stuff when it comes in, what's the temperature of all the freezers, figuring out new next now based on essentially figuring out all the logistics using AI and all the dynamic variables that come in. This batch of produce came in from Southern California and they're having a drought. So this one probably needs to be put in the refrigerator that has the humidifiers in it to keep them, hydrated. This one has to go here because it came from North California. It's already cold. So we know that the temperature doesn't have to be as cold to get it to drop to the temperature. So it doesn't wind up doing whatever it's doing, starting to decay. So we're building out that as kind of a logic branch chain system using a downloaded LLM to help them manage inventory and to help them to prolong the life of that inventory.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's way over, we're not just pushing out press releases with a super prompt,
Exactly. So, by the way, everybody, if you guys have any questions for any of us, please put them in the chat. We're happy to answer your questions.
Yeah, that's another thing business owners can do too. Like we're starting to take our own P&L statements. If you have a QuickBooks or FreshBooks or something where you're correlating all of that data, the spend versus the income. You don't have to have massive tools. You could literally export all of that data, plug it into ChatGPT and create a simple prompt, something to the extent of, hey, please analyze my, first quarter P&L, identify any opportunities for efficiencies or opportunities to reduce wasted spend. So again, like there's things that even small business owners, can do today to start getting more efficiencies without having to build all the apps and stuff that, we're talking about. Like just get started and start playing with data, right? I just had, for instance, like this isn't a marketing scenario, but like it gives you an example. I just had a whole like blood draw and like physical analysis for some life insurance, right? There's a prerequisite. So they got to, take our blood and, do all these different tests. And then we get the results back and it's fairly technical. So I was able to put that right into ChatGPT and it told me like, hey, here's what you need to do. Apparently I need more zinc and more magnesium, but outside of that, I'm fairly healthy. But like, you didn't get any of that from the raw data. You just got like all these markers that only a doctor would understand. Well, I can then take that data, put it in ChatGPT, and it tells me, here's exactly what you need to do to supplement to be even better, right? So you do the same thing with your business, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And even on a personal side, I've seen a lot of people on social media, on TikTok and Reels and stuff like that, talk about some of the prompts that they're using just to better be more efficient in their personal life as well. Like I'm probably not going to use ChatGPT for my grocery list because I kind of, I figured out what we like and what I cook and this and that. But like if you're really struggling with something like maybe managing your time better or stuff like that, I think that there's a lot of value in that, in utilizing the technology to kind of level up yourself.
Yeah, there's a prompt that it's basically it's basically something like this. It's like, given all that you know about me, tell me things about myself that I don't even know myself, right? And that's a kind of spooky because kind of like Google, like these systems start learning more about us than like we even know, right? And so you can start using it almost as an outside observer where it's like, hey, I noticed this particular trend, or have you thought about this? And it's, it's cool. It's kind of spooky, but it's also kind of cool, right? Like you're able to learn things even about yourself or your own behaviors, depending on how much you're using these systems that maybe you didn't specifically pick up on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How am I getting in my own way, and how can we resolve that?
Yeah, for sure. One of the cool things that I like about ChatGPT, and this is a recent find, somebody had told me about it. I started testing it. Works really well. So if you have custom-made GPTs, so let's say you've got one for marketing analysis, you've got one that functions as, let's say, a CTO or something like that, and you ask one of them a question about something. If you hit the @ symbol, you can refer another GPT to answer that GPT's questions. So if you have two separate GPTs that are trained on your business information, but one's on the technical side, one's on the marketing side, or however you divide it, you can call that GPT to answer the other GPT's questions, and it will provide data based on what you've trained it on. So if you give them both,
you're stacking it like we do the press releases and everything else.
So yeah, it becomes a council of GPTs. But if one's well trained on one set of data and one's well trained on another set of your business data, you can ask them based on this data sheet, like Adam's talking about. Here's the CSV of past 90 days worth of reporting. What do you think about this? Well, I'd have to talk to the marketing officer and figure that out. Oh, cool. Let me call him into the chat. Hit the @ symbol, call the marketing bot and say, hey, based on this, give him the answer he's looking for. and then they can go ahead and extrapolate the data together and then give you the answer you're looking for.
That's cool.
I like it.
A lot of people don't play with it that way, but like even any of the downloaded ones that you have, you can call another bot if you found somebody else's bot that has a specific purpose into one of your chats to answer a question.
And my understanding that's kind of how DeepSeek kind of built their models is they, instead of having a whole large bucket, at least from what I've read, they have like segments of AI. I don't know if they call them AI agents, but segments of the AI learning that's focused on one territory, right? And then another, and then another, and then they cross-reference. So yeah, I like that tip. I know one of the things that we're starting to work on too is starting to create custom GBTs for our clients, right? So that we can run their content through it to say like, hey, is this matching the client's brand voice? And that's been pretty instrumental as well, right? So everybody,
that was the first thing I figured out about ChatGPT is it has to be personalized to the brand, and then each separate chat, and then I even found out even deeper, like for Solterra, I have a chat for web design, I have a chat for SEO, I have a chat for, all the other variables, and that's always the freaking key to anything. Otherwise, it's otherwise you're sitting there going, who's the best plumber in Dallas? Chat. Well, good luck with those answers, But I do believe that, no matter what you're doing in AI, especially for brands, is you got to personalize it. That way, the content. I love our content. I sent my I got a huge freaking IT company up in the Philly area, and I just sent him a new press release this morning. He goes, "Why do you even send me these? Just go."
right?
So, and so those are always fun to do. But yeah, I remember the old days, like all of us, we were paying $30 a piece of content that was crap.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things now is like I'm starting to do some fun no code stuff, right? Which, basically there's a couple processes where you could take basically a screenshot of a UI, copy it, put it into Replit, and create your own like systems, right? So I've been creating essentially scrapers that will go and scrape Google for businesses, with a Google search operator. And there's Chrome plugins that already do this, but I'm able to take that Chrome plugin, essentially copy it with a push of a button or a prompt, and then add my own features. Like, man, I wish this had A, B, and C, right? And so like there's a whole nother window, of things that people are starting to do, whether they have a coding background or not. I technically do have a coding background, but I haven't touched code since I've been out of college, right? So I couldn't code my way out of a paper bag, but now I don't even really have to, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Absolutely. With and to your point with that, Adam, in using the new version of Claude that just dropped 3.7, probably within the past week and a half, it has gotten extremely good at coding.
Nice.
I'll ask it for, like I was asking it for something that I'm working on building, which involved a series of Python scripts. And I told it what the requirements were and all that sort of stuff. And it went ahead, figured out the Python scripts, left me the spots for the API keys, and then figured out which dependencies I would have to download on a Linux server in order to make those scripts work. And then told me how to execute it on the server.
Sweet.
Love it.
So you could build your own robot army using Claude 3.7 to go ahead and tell you how to build the robot. It's crazy. I'm using it right now and it's working like gangbusters. I built a script that automates using AI to build communities from the ground up. So like stuff like that.
Same thing. Like I built a entire directory. You know what I mean? Like it pulled in all the Google APIs, all that stuff, just in a matter of honestly, I built the core MVP in probably 5 minutes, but then spent, next couple hours just tinkering around, but literally doing nothing but prompting it. And so it's crazy. Yeah. And I know that in our community, there's so many creative people. So it's going to be interesting to see what people come up with.
Yeah, definitely.
Love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hello, Robbie. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Missed Joe earlier. Joe's with us too. So I'm interested about your topic, Adam.
Yeah.
Dark PR and brand hacking.
Yeah. I'll give you the high level overview. So honestly, it's kind of a 3-part talk, kind of going over just different things that I've utilized inside of our agency and with my own personal brand to kind of get around the whole traditional PR system. A couple, I don't know if it's been maybe a year and a half, maybe 2, where I was really just kind of interested in like, how do I get more exposure for my personal brand, right? And in the process, I started going down the path of looking at these big PR companies. And what I learned through that process is that a lot of these PR companies, one, they want to charge you an arm and a leg, like 30 to 50 grand, sometimes more, to get exposure. And I'm like, no, that's okay. I'm not going to like dump that much money into it. But nonetheless, being kind of an SEO and hacker and always trying to figure out how stuff works, I was like, how does this PR stuff work? And what I realized is the entrepreneurs, of the world, these big publications, they all basically have a pay to play system right behind the scenes where you can become part of their council. And essentially you're paying them $1,000 or $1,500 a month to become part of their council. And if you read between the lines, basically it's like, hey, we're not promising you that you'll have published content, but your likelihood of getting published content is much higher because you're part of these councils. The other thing I learned through this, these PR companies is that, and this kind of makes sense. Like you can't just go right from being nobody to like being on the cover of entrepreneur.com or wired.com. Like it doesn't work like that. You have to do a step ladder system. And so in my talk, I'm going to be going through like a system that I'm utilizing right now to get on like multiple podcasts a week. Right. There's another strategy that I'm calling the cover cred strategy, essentially utilizing some of the same tactics and strategies that probably most of our us in the SEO industry already are kind of doing for link building, but then kind of repurposing that into a link building / PR, like all-in-one consolidation, right? So that's the second part. And then I just kind of go through some other, scenarios that I've discovered that has worked well for our brand, right? Touching on PR and that kind of thing. So that's kind of high level. There is some AI stuff in there, although that's not the premise of the talk. The premise is really just like how to hack your way into a better brand, essentially. So
it's awesome.
Maybe that should be the title: How to Hack Your Way into a Better Brand. I like it.
Yeah. There's a lot of different directions with the title, but that's kind of the idea, essentially. So
awesome. Well, Robbie asked a question there. Anyone been playing with MCP servers?
Not yet.
It's an MCP server, so help the girl in the room.
So it's a model context, the model context protocol. So you feed it all the different pieces of information, mini bots, context tools, stuff like that. And you can build out your own kind of model to go ahead and build with. So it's kind of like using like a Chevy platform to go ahead and build out whatever kind of truck you want, right? Like you can build out like, a Chevy, Silverado. You can go ahead and build out an Avalanche. You can go build out something else, but you're using the framework. So essentially it's kind of like AI on rails. So you're starting with, and then you give it your own stuff to kind of polish it and make it your own, from what I understand. I haven't been playing with it to that depth. The other stuff that I'm doing with the automation process, the way I looked at it when I started doing AI was very much figure out prompting, figure out how to interface with these things at a basal level, and then get better and better and better and better at it. Learn some of the other models. Like I just stepped onto Claude the beginning of this month. I had never touched Claude before, period. Like I'm very slow to learn models because I want to be able to spend time and learn how the persona behind this one works, or the reasoning model behind that one works. Like finding out that Claude's really, really good with code, I'm probably going to use that over ChatGPT to develop stuff, like doing the no code stuff that Adam's talking about. But no, I haven't played with MCPs yet. It's on my list, but I'm in the trenches with so many other things at the moment that I just haven't had time. Adam, what about you?
Yeah, same here. Like it's funny because I have so many screenshots and like bookmarks of stuff that I don't know when I'll get around to. And so, yeah, with all this AI stuff, like I try to like, weigh all these projects that I have in my head with managing the agency, right? So there are days where I dip out and I tell the team like, hey, I'm not going to be reachable. I'm taking Friday off just to like geek out and build something. But also like, yeah, it's easy to get distracted. So I'm not going to be the first one to jump on a new system just because everyone's doing it. Like I will let the buzz kind of simmer down, and then if I feel like hey, this is necessary, then I'll dive in. But I'm trying to keep the FOMO to a minimum so I can keep my eyes on what's actually creating revenue. So. But
I think that's a very valid thing. Like we all get sucked into the shiny object and, the squirrel in the corner that's dancing. And like, I want to go play with that, but I have grown up responsibilities.
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act for sure.
Yeah, it's the shiny object, but that shiny object has to have a dollar value attached to it.
Yeah. I mean, I typically stop working on client stuff about 3 p.m, and then the rest of the day or whatever is my stuff, and that's when I can go play. But yeah, definitely, it'll definitely suck you in, And I used to do it on weekends, but then I'd forget everything by the time I got back into it.
Yeah. I usually just find taking a day. I like Fridays. Fridays are sometimes the day where it's like, hey, people are winding down, so I'm like, hey, don't bother me. I'm gonna be geeking out, building some stuff. Like, right now I'm working on a lot of like kind of like you, Dan, working on a lot of outbound systems and testing those out, and figuring out like we've always done good with inbound. Like that's kind of been our bread and butter. Like we don't run ads. Like we barely do anything as far as like outbound marketing. But I'm like, now's maybe the time because there's just so many resources. So haven't mastered it, but I feel like it's just around the corner for us. So.
Nice.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, all right, we're about 10 minutes left. Elisabeth, talk about spring training.
What would everyone like to know? I feel like I talk about it all the time. We just want to hang out and play with all of our tech friends. And so that's kind of why we started this. I found that, when we first started our agency, Terry and I kind of had our head down and did a lot of things, and we didn't know if it was right, wrong, or indifferent. I would say probably the first 7 years in our agency, we knew nobody in SEO or marketing or web development or anything. And once we started kind of branching out there, I feel like the whole world opened up for us. We had support when we needed it. We had people to bounce ideas off of because our space is a little different, It's not a regular 9-to-5 job. We're all entrepreneurs. We all have a million things going all at once. And it's just really nice to have like level-headed friends that we could call up and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or I'm spinning out over this. And it really made a difference for us in our agency and our personal lives as well, to know that like we have friends out there that get it and understand. It's not just a 9-to-5. You can't shut it off. You can't shut your brain off. And so that's kind of where we started with everything about us. Like, why are we going to start a conference? It's the most insane thing ever, right? But
yeah,
you're doing it for the money, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the big misconception.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think, and this is our 6th one, and they don't get any easier. Obviously, it depends on the, on the times, the economy. This year, we actually changed it up again, just because it's not just about SEO anymore.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that if you just do SEO, you're going to get run over. So you've got to be doing stuff like we've been talking about today in automations and AI. And, sure, SEO is always going to be important, but, you need to, even if you're not ready for it today, you need to be prepared of what it's going to take to be ready. And that's one of the biggest things that we love about this conference is we have obviously our thumb on the pulse, so to speak, of what's happening in the industry. We obviously are in it. We do this on a daily basis, so we're not just people that put on conferences. So, and we take a lot of pride in providing value. That's the number one mission in our conference is value. So, we got
in the lineup that you guys got this year, here, I don't think and I was explaining this to somebody I know in the industry. He's maybe not as plugged into our community. Hopefully that will change because it sounds like he's coming to this conference. But I was telling him, I'm like, look, I'm not blowing smoke. Unless you want to travel overseas, to Chiang Mai or Vietnam or some of these other conferences, you're not gonna find the lineup of people in a U.S. conference this easy, right? Yeah. And so really considering that people don't have to travel all the way across the world to see this packed out house of talent, it's a killer deal. So
yeah, and it really is. It's we spend a long time, or me and the committee, so to speak, spend a lot of time on just who we want to come, because again, this was a little bit different. We didn't want 3/4 of them to be SEO people. They can be SEO people, but they need to be talking about other things besides SEO, or how they're using stuff within their SEO business, so to speak. But we had, again, right around 80 people want to speak at this sucker, and that's typically our going rate. And every single year we kind of make sure that we can, again, what's happening today compared to a year ago is different.
Right.
When SEO spring training number 5 happened, AI wasn't even hardly on the radar yet.
A little bit, but not like it is today. It's freaking everywhere. So morning stage is our typical way we do it. And then the afternoon breakouts. The afternoon breakouts, as Elizabeth calls them, choose your own adventure. So if you want to go learn more about AI, go see some people in the AI room, go spend some time in the automation room. And if you didn't see Adam one day, go to see Adam the next day. So we really have it set up that you should be able to get anything that's going on in your business, the questions asked, and answered. So that's one of the things I guarantee people. If you come there with a problem that you're trying to find out and you don't find out that problem after you talk to me, then I'll give you your money back. So, but if we don't have it there and we don't have it ready for you, our network is. So, we can get any problem answered for you guys. Elizabeth, talk a little bit about the hotel. I actually think the hotel is probably one of the most exciting things about this conference, because last year the hotel was very expensive. That's something that we're having to deal with this. Hotels are not losing money, ladies and gentlemen, right now. So it's very, very rare you see hotel deals like what Elizabeth worked out. So we decided to look a little bit outside of the Scottsdale area. Scottsdale's swanky. Yes, we love it. It's beautiful, all the things. But we wanted to look at something that was a little bit, definitely a more affordable price, but didn't compromise on quality, because that's something that Terry and I will admit, I am a little bit of a princess, and I don't want to slum it if I don't have to. So the hotel that we chose, it's a Crown Plaza. It's down in Chandler. But the really cool, unique feature about this is not only is it a really nice hotel, it's attached to a golf course, it has a beautiful pool and all of the things. It has a restaurant on property. But the two things that were really critical for us is, first of all, there's about 35 restaurants and bars within a 1-block walking distance. So everything is there. You don't have to Uber anywhere. So anything you could think of, if you want ice cream, if you want coffee, if you want a swanky steak, DC Steak is right there. Really nice quality food all around the area. Santan Brewery, all the things. But they also have really nice areas on property in the hotel for seating, for sitting around drinking. They've got a bar. I informed the hotel, like is every year, our group, we have a core group of people that don't even want to leave property. They just want to hang out, have some drinks, chit chat, dig in, tell me all your secrets. How did you do this? How do you hack that kind of stuff? And you guys know, like I say hack like very lightly, like we do have a really good group of people with high integrity. And that's one of the things I love and appreciate about all of you guys, especially all of our speakers coming in. But the way the hotel is set up, there's tons and tons of seating in the lobby. There's like couches and tables, there's patios. So there's plenty of opportunity to really connect. Our speakers stay on property, so we open it up so everybody can interact. If you're shy and you want to talk to somebody, let me know. I'll introduce you. I'm absolutely happy to do that because I think the connections that everybody makes is so invaluable. That's the difference between, you know, your business, your life, your future is the connections that you make. So again, I'm bragging about our people. I love all of our people. I love all my techie nerds.
Yep. Going to be incredible. We do have the golf extravaganza the Wednesday before. So if you want to golf and come in early and play golf with us, it's pretty dang fun. And then Thursday's the VIP day. Thursday night is the welcome reception, kind of getting everything kicked off and get to introduce and meet people. It starts Friday, the May 2nd, and it goes Friday, Saturday till Sunday at lunch. Sunday at noon is the actual end of the actual conference, but Sunday afternoon is the most popular day of all, is the Tech Mastermind. So the Tech Mastermind is when all cameras are shut off and people just show the crazy stuff that they're able to do. And it's a lot of fun. It's been the most popular thing. I think we've done it 4 years. It's definitely one of the most popular things that people want to get involved in because, again, it lets you think outside the box. It lets you do that oh shit moment type of stuff, you know, and some oh crap moments. Oh crap, you can do that. But again, it's, you know, the conference is set up for value. The conference is set up to, you know, again, network. We're mostly introverts. You know, I would rather sit in my office coding all freaking day than go out and be with people, you know. So, but again, these are the conferences this is the conference that we kind of take the pressure away. And one of the reasons why we like the breakout room scenario is because you're not pressured to be in a room 8 hours a day for 3 days straight. You know, you can go out and you can go out and do whatever you want. If you want to network, if you know, want to do whatever in the afternoon, it's like a no pressure thing. So, but anyways, if you have any questions about the conference, if you have any questions about, you know, we have some agencies that will bring staff. We have some staff ticket pricing. Just get with Elisabeth. We do have, I think last year we had 4 or 5 agencies that sent employees. But yeah, whatever you guys want to do, we'll work with you on it. Just let us know. It's a little late now to try to get people visas and stuff from overseas. We did that this year at the beginning, but and as far as recording, we're going to record them just mainly for the speaker's choice. They can have their own recordings, or if we want to use them for marketing. As of today, we are not planning on selling. That's what I'm saying. So, and no, there will not be a live stream. That was a freaking nightmare. We will not live stream. Not when you're relying on hotel internet.
Well, and there's, you know, the way we've got structured tickets is it's incredibly affordable for just anyone coming to the general sessions. Obviously, I'm a big fan of VIP because I like to do all the fun stuff too. But VIP is everything. Beginning mastermind, tech mastermind, all the levels. And then the tech mastermind is the general session and tech mastermind. But, you know, the way we structure it, you know, our speakers interact with everybody. It's not like, you know, we're flying you guys in and then you do your little talk and then you leave. You know, at some point you'll get to that level, I'm sure. But for us, it's just, let's all interact. Let's all hang out. Let's talk, you know. I would say a fair portion of the audience are previous speakers, you know, so there's so much valuable information for all of our attendees, no matter what level you come at. But we want to make sure that, you know, we have the general session affordable So anybody can come, and it's not just SEO, it's open to anybody in digital marketing. I think we did a little mini rebrand on that just because I don't want to be pigeonholed as SEO. We ran across somebody very recently that it really was shocking for Terry and I, and they were talking about their clients and SEO and what they do, and they literally only do ranking. And I'm like, but do you track like conversions? Are you showing, time on page? Are you quantifying the new clients for that business? And they said, no, that's not my job. And I was like, what do you mean that's not your job? Like, who cares about rankings if the business is not getting more clients, more customers? So I just, that was a shock. And I really had to be respectful and keep my mouth shut. But I really kind of wanted to say, well, your clients are wasting money with you because that's ridiculous. But that's my opinion. I don't know. What's your guys' opinion of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to definitely ahead of time, like coordinate the KPIs, right? I would say a majority of our clients come to us because they want new leads. Now, I can't say every particular client because we've had every once in a while we have those that are like, hey, I don't care about leads. I want, vanity metrics.
Yeah, I want to be personal injury. I want to be number one for personal injury attorney in Las Vegas.
Yeah. So we have a handful of those, but we have conversations ahead of time, like what, here's what we recommend as far as KPIs, phone calls, form fills, info in your CRM, that kind of stuff. Right. But every once in a while you get clients that they just want the vanity metrics. It's like, okay, as long as we're on the same page, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gotten to the point with the stuff that I'm doing that I'm now asking clients for access to, back end of the website and also back end of the ads platform, because you guys know, I've got data that I can get on people when they visit the website. So I've got my own quote unquote SEO insurance policy that I run for clients. Mm-hmm. We take that and we feed that back into the rest of their ecosystem. So I can track and say, okay, well, this originated from SEO, but then they went to this path and they went on this social media platform and they went through all these different points, but we originated that lead. Yeah. And being able to track that from first click all the way to final checkout is super valuable for saying, okay, well, they didn't get it on the first click, but I can show you everywhere else that they've been on the internet, and eventually they came back to you. Yeah. And that's a very different conversation to have with somebody. It's like, well, I'm not ranking number one. What's the point? It's not about ranking number one always. It's, how is your brand out there? What's your presence? What platform are they finding you on first? How are they coming to the website? Any of those things. And then being able to follow them back around the net and then get that final closeout.
Well, and you have to figure all of the big companies are doing it. Data is the most valuable asset we have right now. Mm-hmm. So why would you as a smaller business just think, oh, well, I just want to be on the first page? What does that get you? I think conversion is being underestimated in some areas.
Yeah,
I agree. Yep. Well, anyways, we're about up on our time. So again, if you have any questions for us about the conference, we do this every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time now because Arizona's special and we don't change clocks. But yeah, so we're going to have some more webinars happening throughout the week with other speakers, with other people that are coming to the conference. We've got some guests that have been in every single one of them. So we're going to bring them on and kind of say, hey, what keeps you coming back? But anyways, thank you, Adam and Dan, for your time today. It's been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so looking forward to seeing you guys here in about 5 weeks. Get your tickets. The VIP, as far as I know, Elisabeth, they're going to look at it today. I think we're pretty close to being sold out on the VIP. So get in there now. The VIP is one of those things we can't just arbitrarily add 10 more tickets to.
Can't add to it.
Yeah. So get it now, especially if you want to hang out with the speakers and the other VIPs. It's a great day, and you really get to meet some new friends and do some pretty cool stuff. So anyways, thank you guys. Have a wonderful week, everybody. And again, subscribe, follow us, do all those good things. And we'll talk to everybody later. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.